Buenos tardes, my loves. Welcome back to Maverick Baking and welcome back to another episode of Desserts of the World, the series in which we are making and trying to recreate all of the most iconic and beloved desserts from every single country in the world, or as far as we can make it. If you are new here, first of all, welcome and thank you for subscribing. My name is Kelly and on this channel we are baking, we are eating and we are doing all sorts of lovely things with all kinds of sweet foods in mind. So do stick around if that sounds like your kind of thing. But today, folks, we are talking about Argentina. Famed for its football, its dancing, its wine, and its insane world record-setting red meat consumption. With so many different factors of cultural interest and with so many other and more famous foodstuffs, Argentina may not be the first country on earth that you think of when you think of dessert. That is unless you've heard of or had the joy of tasting dulce de leche. Dulce de leche is a milk-based caramel beloved across South America, as far as I believe, and especially so in Argentina. Meaning that you'll find a number of its most beloved desserts very, very generously flavoured and or filled with this sweet spread. And that very much includes today's recipe. Let's talk chocotorta. Like many other areas of Argentinian life and culture, the chocotorta is a kind of name and actual dessert made of a mashup of Spanish and Italian roots. This Argentinian chocolate cake is visibly inspired by the world-famous Italian tiramisu. Abundant layers of coffee or milk-soaked chocolate biscuits, most famously and most traditionally being chocolinas, sandwiched with a thick and smooth dulce de leche spiked mascarpone cream. Imagine a kind of denser, creamier, richer, and more chocolatey tiramisu, and that's basically a chocotorta. This dessert only really requires a few minutes of hands-on time, even if it does require a little bit of waiting time in the fridge. But I assure you, while it is both softening and stiffening in the fridge, the wait is absolutely worth it. Now, obviously, most recipes use a kind of simple store-bought jar or can of dulce de leche, as, who has the time to make these things these days? And this appears to be widely available across Argentina, as far as I understand. It's also a product you can find pretty easily in most kind of big supermarkets in the UK or in the US for my biggest kind of viewership. Hi. However, there are certain countries, such as the one I live in here in Italy, where dulce de leche is available, but not very easily. Now, not meaning I bought some on the black market, and I did have to resist buying a kind of 5-kilo catering-sized container of this stuff, of which the first kilo might have been enjoyable to eat, but I think the 4 that followed would have just been, suffering. So because dulce de leche is sometimes a little bit elusive to buy in some places, I made my own. And if you guys are interested, I'll be sharing that part of the recipe with you today too. Dulce de leche can be made at home in a few different ways. In a super, super traditional way, you can essentially very, very slowly simmer a large amount of milk with a small amount of sugar for hours, or you can boil a whole can of kind of ready-made condensed milk in a big pot of boiling water for hours. Both ideas stressed me out, not only because of the amount of time and the cost of the gas or electricity bill for doing that sort of thing, but also just for the sheer amount of kind of mistakes that can very easily happen with both of those methods. But thanks to the incredibly resourceful mums on the internet, literally where would we be without them? I found that you can also make your own dulce de leche in the oven. Baking ready-made condensed milk on a tray in the oven for a kind of small amount of time may not produce the same perfectly smooth and even looking golden stuff that you get kind of straight from a jar or can, but it is every bit as delicious. So let me show you how to make, if you need to, your very own homemade dulce de leche, and of course, how to make the famous Argentinian chocotorta. Let's go. First of all, let me show you how on earth you can make dulce de leche at home. So I took just a kind of standard size tin of condensed milk and poured it into just a regular baking tray, a regular kind of rectangular baking or roasting tray before putting it in a larger tray and just giving it a little bit of water around it to stop anything from drying up too much. And just baked this for 30 to 40 minutes, stirring occasionally until we had this lovely, thick, golden flecked stuff that by the morning was stiffer than I had planned it to be. Similarly, I looked out some mascarpone and I looked out some of these chocolate biscuits and of course some coffee, which I just allowed to cool down. before looking out a tin that was just the perfect size to line with those chocolate biscuits. One of the joys of the Chocotorta is just how few ingredients there are, which you will see right before your eyes. So with the dulce de leche, whether just straight from the tin or made previously, like I did, you're just going to want to add it to a big old mixing bowl along with some cream cheese or mascarpone. A relatively bland, soft but full-fat cheese is what you want here for both texture and flavour purposes. And you're just going to want to mix them together until they're kind of a nice pale golden brown. It doesn't need to be too fluffy or anything crazy, just enough that it's all one homogeneous mixture that you're going to be absolutely desperate to lick from the spoon before, during, and after the entire creation process. And you're just going to want to kind of look out a little assembly line to have your coffee ready, your biscuits ready, your mascarpone mixture ready, and your tin well lined with some greaseproof paper to make it easier to lift the whole Chocotorta out at the end. And you're just going to want to start by lightly dunking those chocolate biscuits into your coffee or into your milk, and then just putting a single even flat layer of those biscuits at the bottom of your tin. You don't need to dunk the biscuits for too long. You don't want them to be at the point where they're soggy and breaking apart, just moist enough, and to have as even a layer as you can. If you have to break up some of the biscuits, that's no problem. You just want there to be nice flat layers rather than this looking a bit more like a messy English trifle. And on top of that, you're just going to want to gently dollop a pretty slim layer of the mascarpone and dulce de leche mixture on top. Enough that you might still be able to see the outline of the biscuits, but not enough that you're drowning them. And you're just going to want to kind of delicately spread that all the way across the tin before carefully repeating all of those layers, as in the biscuit dunking and kind of stacking, and then the mascarpone spreading on top until you have either filled the tin or used up all of your mixture or biscuits or all of those. And then just chill it in the fridge for anywhere from 4 to 12 hours before removing, slicing up, topping with some chocolate ganache if you're feeling fancy. Recipe will also be in the description box below, and enjoying this beautiful multi-layered, rich but refreshing chilled Argentinian Chocotorta. Enjoying all the layers of that deep kind of cocoa flavour, softened by the mixture around it with that sweet dulce de leche and the creaminess of mascarpone. So, so good. I hope you love this one.